Hello, friends. My name is Janet Rose. In case you don't know me already, I am an intuitive coach. I am a survivor. I am a recovering attorney and also a lifelong student of what it means to rebuild when everything falls apart, especially when you are on a calling. So I just wanted to reintroduce you to one of my favorite frameworks to teach, even though usually no one ever asks for it, but it is called Surviving This Tower Moment. It's about understanding the collapse that we are living through right here, right now. It's not just about what's happening out in the rest of the world that feels so very powerless for us, but it is also about what's happening inside our own lives. I don't think I need to tell you this, but the United States, for example, is experiencing a massive tower moment in many areas of our lives. Our systems are crumbling. Our social fabric is fraying. Our collective grief still has not even been acknowledged from the pandemic. And individually, there are so many of us who have had our foundations cracking. For a lot of folks, the pandemic forced them to sit with their own trauma without the distractions, without the escape hatch, and nowhere left to put denial. Others ran headlong into denial and handed their power to devils who are creating even more trauma as we speak. So the collapse isn't just out there, it's happening also within us, because you can't go through those types of self-discoveries or awakenings without it really disrupting everything inside of you. And so I want to turn these moments into an invitation, into empowerment for us. So yeah, when I talk about the tower, imagery starts with tarot, meaning tarot explains it very, very well. But this is not a tarot class, and nor do you need to believe in tarot to take this class. It's a framework to understand how the structures that we build around ourselves eventually stop fitting who we really are, and that includes the macro level. So if you think about it this way, in the class, one of the things I'll talk about is how our first tower is built in childhood and shaped by our caregivers, our faith, our societal and cultural expectations. Some parts are there truly to nurture us, and some were there to contain us and control us. By adolescence, we usually start to see that structure is going to crack. For me, that tower showed up when I was 15, long before I started reading tarot. I was in an honors philosophy course, and I was super Catholic, and I was being challenged every day on my beliefs. I described it to my teacher then as a wrecking ball slamming through my tower of self, dismantling who I thought I was supposed to be and what I thought had been true for myself and for humanity. That moment gave me a choice. I could rebuild the same tower, or I could use those pieces to create something truer to me. A lot of folks will just rebuild the exact same structure, just try to fit themselves into these boxes. They might throw on a new coat of paint. They might, switch some identity. Maybe they turn goth, right? Some will leave one religion for another. So it's just one pre-made structure in exchange for another pre-made structure. Same with political identities. We are exchanging one should for another should until we are shoulding all over ourselves. But by and large, after that first tower moment, a lot of us still are working within the same foundations. They are still the same. There's nothing wrong with that so long as those foundations can actually grow with who you are, so long as those foundations are healthy and not harboring all of this rot within it, rot like racism or misogyny. Even though those foundations are still the same, the tower is still vulnerable to inquiry, to truth, to the lightning bolts of awareness. And eventually it will come down again and again and again and again, because the one thing that we can guarantee about humanity is that change is inevitable. So until you finally realize that you're not meant to rebuild the same thing, you are meant to be rebuilding yourself, then you're going to continue facing the same patterns. And that's what we are seeing on a macro level. So in this class, we're going to use the tower as a lens to take the macro level of society and government all the way down to the micro level of our generational trauma and our individual identities. We're going to understand the cracks that we're experiencing and why. We're going to recognize when towers are collapsing versus when they're transforming. We are going to be able to keep an eye on how other people's towers coming down also impact us. We're going to look at how ancestral trauma shaped our initial architecture and what it should inform moving forward. Also, how to rebuild from the roots and the power that we regain instead of the inherited or programmed ones that we are left with. And finally, we're going to look at how we can create structures that can withstand truth, growth, authenticity, integrity, accountability, how we can build more sustainable systems that have a healthy level of interdependence so that we are not relying on so many tall towers, but instead are spreading out our resources and our help to ensure that we have a good floor for folks to build from. None of this requires believing in tarot. It is purely symbolic, and it gives us a language, an archetypal language to use for the internal earthquakes and societal collapses that we are witnessing in real time. It also helps us avoid recreating the same systems that harmed us in the first place when we go out into the rest of the world and we are helping humanity in its darkest hours. We are living collectively through this moment, and so the Trump era, the backlash cycles, the cancel culture, the social fractures, the grief that we never processed, all of it's converging right now. And at the same time, a lot of us are undergoing some very deep personal transformations. There are so many relationships and friendships that are coming to an end. And there are so many new ones and new exciting paths and callings and missions that are starting. Those two processes are intertwined, and what we are going through individually connects with the people that we love. So if we don't learn how to build consciously and intentionally, we do risk repeating the same patterns that got us here and got generations of us here before us. I am teaching this Surviving This Tower Moment class on December 11th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. It's a 2-hour class. $50. Please bring something to journal with, because this is about looking at that micro level first, and then we're going to project it out into the macro level as well. But if you are a member of my Patreon, you'll get somewhere between 25 and 50% off of the class. So please consider attending. You can also add on a personalized messages of divine love reading. I will be doing this class a little bit more frequently in 2026. I am going to do another session before the end of 2025 for folks in the daytime, because I know some of you are international and could use that time frame instead. So I will be doing that as well. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in class. Send this to someone who needs to take this kind of class.